Jnanakosha, Puranas, Introduction.
सर्गच्च प्रतिसर्गच्च वंशो मन्वन्तराणि च वंशानुचरितं चैव पुराणं पञ्चलक्षणम्.
In the Brahma Kalpa, the very first Kalpa of the origin of Bharatavarsha, Brahma meditates and conceives all the Vedas and Puranas with the grace of Lord. His homage to Lord at that time is called the Brahma Sanhita. Brahma creates in the second Kalpa the Brahmanda and produces the first 10 rishis. Devas and Asuras are created. They are called the celestial gods and the demons. The main abodes of the gods are Bhu, Bru, Swaha, Maha, Jana, Tapa and Satya. That is the abode of Brahma. The general term for the abode of the demons is Patala Loka, which is below the celestial abodes of gods and near Bhuloka. All these abodes are in a separate space and dimension. Later on, the ozone layer is formed on the earth planet. Brahma produces Swayambhu Manu and Shastrupa, the Rishi and Sapta Rishis on the earth planet conceive the Vedas and Puranas, and gradually the human civilization develops. There are 14 Manvantaras in a Kalpa, and in every Kalpa is similar divine historical events happening. Till date, there are 18,000 Kalpas have already elapsed. One Kalpa along with Brahma's night is 8,640 million years. But we do know the names of 30 Kalpas. Beginning of the existing day Kalpa of Brahma and first Manvantara of Swayambhu Manu and Shastra Rupa, Swayambhu Manu had 2 sons and 3 daughters. Bhakta Dhruv was from his second son Uttapad, Bhagwan Kapil was from his daughter Dyohuti, and Bhakta Prahalada was in the family succession of his first son Priyamvrat. The second Manvantara is Swaroshi Manu, the third was Uttam Manu, the next was Tamas Manu, and then Raivat Manu and Chakshuka Manu. The beginning of the 7th Manvantara, which is the existing Manvantara, is the Vaivasvanta Manu. Beginning of the existing 7th Manvantara of Vaivasvanta Manu, who had 10 sons and 1 daughter. Surya Vansha starts from his elder son Ikshvaku, and Chandra Vansha starts from his daughter Ila. Bhakta Ambarish was in the 3rd generation of his son Nabhaga. So, here the Purana start. So, what is a Purana? The Puranas are ancient Hindu texts eulogizing various deities of the Hindu pantheon through divine stories. The multiple scriptures known by the name of Puranas can be categorized under the same class as the Itihasas or histories, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and is believed to have been derived from the same religious system as these epics that were the best products of the meotheric state of Hindu belief. The origin of the Purana. Although the Puranas share some of the traits of the great epics, they belong to a later period and provide a more definite and connected representation of the mythological fictions and the historical tradition. Horst Heyman Wilson, who translated some Puranas into English in 1840, says that they also offer characteristic peculiarities of a more modern description in the paramount importance which they assign to individual divinities in the variety of the rites and observances addressed to them. and in the invention of new legends illustrative of the power and graciousness of those deities.
सर्गश्च प्रतिसर्गश्च वंशो मन्वन्तराणि च वंशानुचरितं चैव पुराणं पञ्चलक्षणम्.
The five characteristics of the Puranas. The Puranas can be identified by Panchalakshana, or five characteristics they possess. The first one is history. The second, cosmology, often with various symbolical illustrations of philosophical principles. Third, secondary creation. Genealogy of kings, and the Manvantara, or the periods of Manu, rules consisting of 71 celestial yugas, or 306.72 million years. All the Puranas belong to the class of Shruti Samhitas, or friendly treatises, markedly differing in authority from the Vedas, which are called the Prabhu Samhitas, or the commanding treatises. Purana describes Sarga, creation; Pratisarga, renovation; Vamsa, history of sages; Manvantara, period of Manus; Vamsanucharitra, genealogy of kings. There are 18 Puranas, Vishnu-based Puranas, Shiva-based Puranas, and Brahma-based Puranas. Vishnu-based Puranas are Vishnu Purana, Bhagavata Purana, Naradiya Purana, Garuda Purana, Padma Purana, and Varaha Purana. Sage Parasara in the Vishnu Purana narrated to Maitreya. It has 6 amsas and 23,000 slokas. It speaks about the Savatara. It is estimated that it is compiled between 1st and 2nd century AD. Bhagavata Purana, Vyasa compiled the Purana in 11th century AD. It speaks of all incarnations of Vishnu. It has 12 skandhas and 18,000 slokas. Naradiya Purana, Narada narrated it to Sanat Kumara. It has 25,000 verses and it is in narration form. Garuda Purana, in this Purana, Vishnu instructs Garuda. He speaks about astronomy, medicine, grammar, and life after death. It has 8,000 verses and is composed after Kalidasa. Padma Purana, it has 6 skandhas and 55,000 verses. Varaha Purana, story by Varaha. It describes places and mantras. It has 14,000 verses. Puranas based on Brahma. Brahma Purana, Brahmanda Purana, Brahma Vaivrata Purana, Markandeya Purana, Bhavishya Purana, and Vamana Purana. Brahma Purana are the teachings of Brahma to Daksha. It has 25,000 verses. It is called Adi Purana. Brahmanda Purana, origin of universe as told by Brahma. It has 12,000 verses. It is called Uttama Purana. Markandeya Purana, story of Indra, Surya, Agni. There are praises of Durga. There are 9,000 verses. Bhavishya Purana, Surya narrated it to Manu. There are statements about future. There are praises about Surya, Agni, and Naga. There are 14,000 verses. Vamana Purana, similar to Varaha, it describes Shiva and Parvati. Marriage, it has 10,000 verses. Puranas based on Shiva, Vayu Purana, Linga Purana, and Skanda Purana. Agni Purana, Matsya Purana, and Kurma Purana. Vayu Purana, told by Vayu, composed in 5th or 6th century AD. There are praises of Shiva. There are 14,000 verses. Linga Purana, instructions of Shiva on Dharma, sitting in the form of Linga. 28 forms of Shiva are described. There are 12,000 verses. Skanda Purana, it is narrated by Skanda. It narrates the story how Tarakasura was slain by Skanda. There are 84,000 verses. Agni Purana, Agni Deva instructed sage Vasistha. It speaks about Shivalinga and Durga Devi. This book deals with arts and science, astronomy and architecture. It contains 12,000 verses. Matsya Purana, Matsya narrates it to Manu. It deals with religions like Jainism and Buddhism. Histrionics and Andhra kingdoms are discussed. There are 13,000 verses. Kurma Purana, Kurma narrated to Indrajum, speaks of 7 islands and 7 oceans. The purpose of the Puranas. The Puranas have the essence of the Vedas and written to popularize the thoughts contained in the Vedas. They were meant not for the scholars but for the ordinary people who could hardly fathom the high philosophy of the Vedas. The aim of the Puranas is to impress upon the minds of the masses the teachings of the Vedas and to generate in them devotion to God through concrete examples, myths, stories, legends, lives of saints, kings and great men, allegories and chronicles of great historical events. Ancient sages used these images to illustrate the eternal principles of the belief system that came to be known as Hinduism. The Puranas helped the priests to hold religious discourses in temples and on banks of holy rivers, and people loved to hear these stories. These texts are not only replete with information of all kinds but also very interesting to read. In this sense, the Puranas play a pivotal role in Hindu theology and cosmogony. The form and author of the Puranas. The Puranas are mainly written in the form of a dialogue in which one narrator relates a story in reply to the inquiries of another. The primary narrator of the Puranas is Romaharshana, a disciple of Vyasa, whose primary task is to communicate what he learned from his preceptor as he had heard it from other sages. Vyasa here is not to be confused with the renowned sage Veda Vyasa, but a generic title of a compiler, which in most Puranas is Krishna Dvaipayana, the son of great sage Parasara and the teacher of the Vedas. The 18 major Puranas. There are 18 main Puranas and an equal number of subsidiary Puranas or Upapuranas, and many Sthala or regional Puranas. Of the 18 major texts, 6 are Sattvic Puranas, glorifying Vishnu, 6 are Rajasic and glorifying Brahma, and 6 are Tamasic and they glorify Shiva. The most popular Puranas among the many Puranas are the Srimad Bhagavata Purana and the Vishnu Purana. In popularity, they follow the same order. A portion of the Markandeya Purana is well known to all Hindus as Chandi or Devi Mahatyam. Worship of God as a divine mother is its theme. Chandi is read widely by the Hindus on sacred days and Navaratri. Puranas are classified according to qualification of persons who can understand them. Puranas are supplementary explanations of the Vedas intended for different types of men. All men are not equal. Padma Purana classifies the Puranas into 3 types as Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic Puranas. Each constitutes of 6 Puranas. There are men who are conducted by the mode of goodness, others who are under the mode of passion, and others who are under the mode of ignorance. The Puranas are so divided that any class of men can take advantage of them and gradually regain their lost position and get out of the hard struggle for existence. Upapuranas. The Upapuranas are lesser or ancillary texts. These are sometimes also said to be 18 in number, with still less agreement as to the canonical titles. They include among many Sanat Kumara, Narsimha, Brihad Naradiya, Shiva Rahasya, Durvasa, Kapila, Vamana, Bhargava, Varuna, Kalika, Samba, Nandi, Surya, Parasara, Vasistha, Devi Bhagavatam, Ganesha, Mudgala and Hamsa, with only a few having been critically edited. The Ganesha and Mudgala Puranas are devoted to Ganesha. The Devi Bhagavatam Purana, which extols the goddess Durga, has become a basic text for Devi worshippers. Sthala Puranas. This corpus of texts tell the origins and traditions of particular Shiva temples or shrines. There are numerous Sthala Puranas, most written in vernacular, some with Sanskrit versions as well. The 275 Shiva Sthalams of the continent have Puranas for each famously glorified. Some appear in Sanskrit versions in the Mahapuranas or Upapuranas. Kula Puranas. These Puranas deal with a caste origin myth, stories and legends. The word Kula means family or tribe. They are important sources of caste identity, through usually contested by rival castes. This subgenre is usually in the vernacular and may at times remain oral. These have been little researched, though they are documented in the caste section of the British Census of India report and the various gazettes.